Hey everybody, Gabe Jenkins back with you, talking about ellipses today. Um, we're going to talk really just quickly about how to make an ellipse and what do you need to know about an ellipse if you're trying to make it in AutoCAD. Just to be clear, an ellipse is a fancy way of saying oval, and maybe there's a technical difference. I'm not really sure, but an ellipse is a shape like in AutoCAD drawing number 8. You're going to see this bottom ellipse down here. And it's a common enough shape in drafting and in just general life that it's got its own button in the drawing toolbar in AutoCAD. So it's a common enough shape, and I'm going to show you how to make it. So a couple of things to note that are about as important as it gets when it comes to ellipses is you need to know the dimensions, obviously, the dimensions, how tall it is and how wide it is as an ellipse. But it's not asking you, when you make it in AutoCAD, I will say this, when you make it in AutoCAD, you're going to need to know the center point, and you're going to need to know how far it is from the center point. So from the center point to one end and from the center point to the top. I'll show you. So when you're trying to draw in AutoCAD, if we're talking about this ellipse right here, wow, that's just awful. I'm going to try it again. Try to go more slowly this time. We're talking about this ellipse right here. That's better. Still not great. All right. We're going to need to know some important things. We're going to need to know what is the actual center point of that ellipse, because we're going to need to place our ellipse center point somewhere. And we're going to need to know two measurements. We're going to need to know how far it is from the center point to one of the long ends, because ellipses have one long end and one kind of shorter end. So how far is it from the center point to here, and how far is it from the center point up to the short end? So you need to be able to tell it not the whole, not how far it is from one side to the other, but just how far it is from the center point out to the long end and how far it is from the center point out to the short end. So in this case, when we're looking at our dimensions, move this out of the way a little bit. Let me try to move it out of the way a little bit. Well, maybe I just can't. All right, there we go. We have down here a measurement that says that from the center point of the circle, which is also the same center point as vertically as the oval, it is 100 units from the center point out to the long end. It also tells us that the whole oval is 140 tall, so half of that is going to be 70. Okay, so we know that it's 70 from here to here and 100 from here to here. So let's go ahead and make that ellipse. So coming over here to AutoCAD, my ellipse tool is right here underneath the polygon tool or the rectangle tool, and it creates an ellipse using a specified center point. So I click that here, and let's say I just want to center it right here. So I click once, and I start to move out to the side. Now, you can establish it kind of at an angle, like a weird kind of rotated ellipse. That's no problem at all. You just have to specify the angle. I want mine to be, basically not angled like this, but just kind of like straight left and right. And it asked me, the first number it's going to ask me for is how far is it from the center point to one of those sides. So I'm going to type in 100. Oh, it looks big, right? That's not what I wanted it to look like. But you can see as soon as you start to move your cursor a little bit, you can change the height of it however much you want. Now I can click wherever I want, right? And so if this is one of the things where I wanted my ellipse to click and touch on something, I could do that. But in this case, I know the exact height that I want it to be. And so in that box that says 74 right now, if I just click 70 and hit enter, it gives me the ellipse I want, right? So just to check it, we haven't gotten to dimensioning yet, but if I click on dimensioning and I kind of click here and whoa, messed that one up. Click again, messed it up. Go slower. If I click here and measure how tall it is, it's 140, just like in our diagram. And the distance from here to here is 100, just like in our diagram. Okay? And so we're very soon we're going to learn to dimension things and set up the dimensions the way we want them to go. But we're not there yet. But anyway, that's how ellipses work. You click the center point, establish if you wanted an angle or not, usually probably not, and say how far from the center point to the long end and how far from the center point to the short end, or you can reverse it. It doesn't really matter. Just how far is it from the center point to both of the different ends, and then you are ready to go. So at that point, we got our ellipses and we're ready to go. You should be able to do number 8 pretty soon. All right, everybody, have a great day.